Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children, I welcome you all to our online English class. In today's class, we are going to see a lesson, an audited lesson from your Moments English book. So, the lesson is The Kingdom of Fools. So, it is about a king who is a fool and how he reigns his kingdom. Let us go into the lesson and find out what is happening. In the kingdom of fools, both the king and the minister were idiots. So, we are introduced to a kingdom wherein all the people here are referred as fools, and the king as well as the ministers were fools themselves. They didn't want to run things like other kings, so they decided to change night into day and day into night. So, this king was so foolish enough that he wanted to do something interesting. So, he said, let the night be converted to day and the day be observed as night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night, till their fields and run their businesses only after dark, and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. So, the king and the minister ordered their people, they have to do all their works in the dark or at the night and go back to sleep when the sun came, that is during the morning. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. The people did as they were told for fear of death. So, the death penalty was announced for those who were not observing this, for those who were not following this order. And in the fear of death, the people also followed, even though they know that what the king was doing was something absurd, but they didn't want to disobey the king. The king and the minister were delighted at the success of their project. One day, a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. So, the king and the ministers were happy that the people were following their rules, though it was being observed. And now we have a new entry, a guru and a disciple are coming to this kingdom. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. Everyone was asleep, not a mouse stirring. So, when they came, they saw that the city was so beautiful and the daylight was so shining bright, but there was not even a mouse, which was moving. Nobody was there in this kingdom. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw, and they saw around them and wandered around till evening, when suddenly the whole town woke up and went about its nightly business. So, even the cattle, even the animals were taught to sleep during the daytime and work during the night time. Since it was day, not even a single animal was there, no people was there, and they were wandering about in the city, to find out what was happening. It was curious enough to see, a city wherein there is no people during the daytime. And when the evening time came, the people started waking up and they started doing their businesses. The two men were hungry. Now that the shops were open, they went to buy some groceries. To their astonishment, they found that everything cost the same, a single doodoo. Whether they bought a measure of rice or a bunch of bananas, it cost a doodoo. The shops were open during the night. And since a day long they hadn't eaten anything, because they haven't seen any shops open or anybody awake during the mornings. And now that the time has come for the people to start the businesses and the shops were open, so these two decided to go and get some food to eat. And to their astonishment, they were surprised to see everything cost the same amount. Even if they bought rice, it was the same cost, or if they bought bananas, it was of the same cost, which here they call it as doodoo. The guru and his disciple were delighted. They had never heard of anything like this. They could buy all the food they wanted for a rupee. So, the guru and the disciple means the follower or the devotee. They both were excited. Why? Because everything was so cheap and everything cost the same amount. They could buy anything with 1 rupee. And so they were delighted. When they had cooked and eaten, the Guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools and it wouldn't be good idea for them to stay there. So Guru, generally a wise person, so he understood that it is not going to be a good idea for them to stay in that city. Why? Because it is ruled by a foolish king. Okay, and everything was abnormal in the city and he found it no good for them to stay there. This is no place for us. Let's go, he said to his disciple. But the disciple didn't want to leave the place. So he is asking his disciple that they both would leave the place. Why? Because it was nothing good. But the disciple was not willing to leave the place. Everything was cheap here and all he wanted was good, cheap food. The Guru said, "They're all fools. This won't last very long and you can't tell what they'll do to you next." So the Guru is afraid. He is telling this kingdom is ruled by fools and definitely he would be changing the rules now and then. You won't know what will be coming next and there might be something, okay, something which is very more abnormal which is yet to happen. So the Guru was afraid, so he said he wanted to leave the place along with his disciple. But the disciple wouldn't listen to the Guru's wisdom. He wanted to stay. The Guru finally gave up and said, "Do what you want. I am going," and left. Guru was, okay, he was asking the disciple, okay, he was reasoning out, okay, the reason for them to leave the place, but the disciple found it, the place to be a good place and everything is cheap and available here and he didn't want to leave the place. This Guru was fed up, okay, of pursuing this disciple. So he says, "Okay, you go and do whatever you want and I am willing to leave the place." The disciple stayed on, ate his fill every day, bananas and ghee and rice and wheat, and grew fat like a street side sacred bull. And since everything was cheap and everything was available there for a rupee, this disciple, okay, he started eating as and how he liked, okay, and he started filling his stomach, as a result of which he started gaining weight. And here he is being compared to a sacred cow, which means what? A cow which is being fed free, okay, by the devotees. Okay, he has also been feeding himself with lots of food and he has been gaining weight. One bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. He had made a hole in the wall and sneaked in. And as he was carrying out his loot, the wall of the old house collapsed and on his head and killed him on the spot. So this is one such occasion. On a good day, what was happening? There was a thief. Okay, he was entering inside into a merchant's house. So he wore a hole into the wall and he went inside the house to loot. When he was doing so, the wall collapsed and fell on the thief's head, as a result of which the thief died at the same spot. His brother ran to the king and complained, "Your Highness, when my brother was pursuing his ancient trade, a wall fell on him and killed him. This merchant is to blame." So immediately the thief's brother, okay, he is reaching out for the king's help. He is going there and he is saying to the king that he is telling the brother was killed on the spot because the merchant's wall was faulty. Okay, since he was doing, my brother was continuing to do his ancient trade, and while he was doing so, the wall collapsed and fell on him. As a result, he died, and so the merchant is to be blamed. When the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, "What's your name?" "Such and such, Your Highness." "Were you at home when the dead man burgled your house?" "Yes, my lord, he broke in and the wall was weak." So this merchant was called. He was summoned by the king and the king was interviewing, okay, he was interrogating with this merchant. He was asking whether you were there, what is your name, whether you were there when the burgling was taking place and all these things. And this man is also accepting that he was very much present when the burglar was looting the house. And he is telling he broke in the house and the wall was, since the wall was weak, it fell on him. The accused pleads guilty. "Your wall killed this man's brother. You have murdered a man. We have to punish you. Lord, said the helpless merchant, I didn't put up the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the wall. He didn't build it right. You should punish him. Who is that? So this merchant was blamed, okay, he was accused of killing the thief because his wall was faulty. But this merchant is claiming that it was not him who built the wall, it is the person, okay, it is some builder who built the vault, and that man is to be accused and not me, because he didn't build it right, the wall was weak and it was not my fault. So the king is now calling in for the person who built this vault. So he is saying, who is that? Who was the one who built the wall? My lord, this wall was built in my father's time. I know the man. He is an old man now. He lives nearby. So the merchant is telling, okay, so this wall, this house was built in my father's time. It was ages ago or years ago, and the person who built this wall is old by now, and I know him. I would like to call him. The king sent out messengers to bring in the bricklayer who had built the wall. They brought him tied hand and foot. So the bricklayer was brought by the messengers of the king. They brought him with his hands and foot tied. You there, did you build this man's wall in his father's time? Yes, my lord, I did. What kind of wall is that you built? It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. So the king is inquiring, okay, whether was it you who built the wall? And the man is telling, yeah, it was me, I built the wall. And he is telling, it is because of you, because you hadn't done your work properly, a man had been killed, because you built the wall so weak, okay, it had fallen on a poor man and killed him. You are to be blamed. It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. You have murdered him. We have to punish you by death. So the king is telling, because you caused the death of some other person, you are also to be punished to death. Before the king could order the execution, the poor bricklayer pleaded, please listen to me before you give your orders. It's true, I built this wall and it was no good. But that was because my mind was not on it. So he was given the death sentence, and before he could accept the sentence, he was claiming his reason. Okay, he is telling, sir, I accept your orders, but before you give the final sentence, let me just give out my word of claim, and then you can give your orders. So he is telling, I know, I understand that I have built the wall so weak, but it was because of some reason. Okay, and my mind was not on it, I was not concentrating on it, and that is the reason I haven't built the wall so strong. So let us continue the remaining part of the lesson in the next session, children. Okay, and to receive our latest updates, please subscribe our YouTube channel and enjoy the videos, children.